Hi, I'm Nicole, and my project was the coffee industry. So, who doesn't love coffee? Well, that's kind of a silly question because everybody loves coffee. It's a socially acceptable event to go on dates and drink coffee. At a business meeting, everybody drinks coffee. Basically, everybody in the whole world drinks coffee. And some interesting facts I think you should know is that Americans alone drink 400 million cups every day. Now, that's a lot of coffee. Coffee is the second most traded good in the entire world. It's second to only oil. And so you know that there's a whole lot of coffee being traded around the world. So that being said, where does all that coffee come from? What I find sort of disturbing is that most Americans don't know where our coffee comes from or how it's made. And what's worse is they don't care to find out. Before I go deeper into that, I would like to address the two different types of coffee. There are many, but these are the two most popular kinds, and their characteristics are important because they determine where geographically they can be grown. Robusta has twice the caffeine as Arabica. It's considered to be lesser in value than Arabica. It has a higher, harsher taste with a grain-like overtone and peanutty aftertaste. It's less susceptible to pests, weather, environments, and low altitudes. It's easier and much faster to grow than Arabica. Now, Arabica, on the other hand, is considered to be of higher value than Robusta. Arabica beans tend to have a softer, sweeter taste and tones of sugar, fruit, and berries. But they do take years for the tree to fully develop, and they produce less than the Robusta does. And now that we've established that, we can look at the coffee producers and consumers of the world. First, we're going to look at specifically where Robusta and Arabica are grown. Robusta is grown only in the Eastern Hemisphere, primarily in Africa and Indonesia. Arabica is grown mainly in Latin America. Colombia only produces Arabica beans. Countries like Brazil and India produce both Robusta and Arabica. This next map shows you where the exporting members are, that's in green, and the importing members are, and that's in brown, which makes sense because countries like the United States and Europe are all huge importers and not many exports from there. This next chart shows the coffee consumption of the world. And the rest of my presentation is going to be based on this documentary that I watched called Living with Coffee. And it looks at specifically Colombia and the struggles that they faced dealing with coffee. Now, I know this is a lot to read, so I'm going to just break it down for you really simply. Basically, Colombia is known for the producing of high-quality coffee beans. That's the only factor that keeps them in the race. They don't really have capabilities like machines to do the work for them or even areas to dry the beans properly. So I would like to stress the fact that for a lot of these Colombian families, this income for them on these coffee farms is their everything. It's their whole source of income. Now, in 1989, the International Coffee Agreement ended. Previously, it had established quotas, and when that ended, the coffee industry entered the free market, and it was ruled solely by supply and demand, and that's kind of a risky business. Later on, Vietnam, who was not previously a major coffee producer, became one after the IMF and the World Bank encouraged them to do so. When that happened, there was a surplus in coffee that was being produced. And as a result, the price of coffee went way down, and then the farmers in Colombia were no longer to even afford the production of coffee, much less provide for themselves or their families. So they would lose everything that they had. Now, what I would like to suggest is that we say yes to fair trade, because fair trade protects producers from the fluctuations in the market, because it's so unpredictable as to where things could happen if you're just up to supply and demand. And it also ensures that their costs of production are covered and their basic needs are met. I also think it's super important that they are paid the premium, because that helps these developing countries become more developed. Not only does this help this specific country, but it will help everyone by by bettering and becoming more developed as a world. And then those are my sources. And that is it. Thank you very much.